You know that moment when you open your banking app, stare at the number in your savings, and just sigh. Maybe there's a couple thousand sitting there, maybe less. Meanwhile, you're in your mid 20s, your friends are posting vacation photos, new cars, just moved into my place apartment tours. And you're like, how is everyone affording this while I'm stressing over my rent? Most people look at $100,000 by age 30 and think that's for people with high paying jobs, not for someone on a normal salary like me. But here's the thing, that mindset is exactly what keeps a lot of people stuck. You don't need to be rich to build up to $100,000. You need to stop playing the money game on autopilot and start playing it on purpose. My name is Boniface, and I spend way too much time thinking about money, human psychology, and why some people quietly build real wealth while others stay on the same financial treadmill for a decade straight. I've watched plenty of people on completely average incomes hit $100,000 by 30, and I've seen people making way more than that blow every dollar. If you're tired of feeling behind and you actually want to build something real instead of just looking comfortable on the outside, go ahead and subscribe and hit the like button if this video helps you out. We talk about money in a way that's honest, a bit uncomfortable at times, and actually useful. Because by the end of this video, you'll see that $100,000 by 30 isn't magic, it isn't luck, and it isn't reserved for people with giant salaries. It's a sequence. Once you get the sequence, you will not look at your paycheck the same way again. Sound good? All right, let's talk about how you actually do this on an average income. The first thing you need to understand is what $100,000 by 30 really looks like in numbers, not feelings. People hear six figures and their brain goes straight to huge salaries, tech jobs, or some kind of side hustle miracle. But if you give yourself your 20s to work with, it's a lot more realistic than it sounds. Let's say you start taking this seriously around 22. You've got roughly 8 years until 30. 100,000 over 8 years is about $12,500 a year. That's roughly $1,040 a month. Now, I know what you might be thinking. There is no way I can save $1,000 a month on what I make, which is fair. If you think you have to do that from day one, but you don't, you grow into that number. In your early 20s, maybe you're saving $200 or $300 a month. As you get better at managing your money and as your income increases, because yes, we're going to talk about that, you push that number up. By your late 20s, $700 or $800 a month might actually be doable, especially if you're not setting your lifestyle on fire. On top of that, if you're investing even some of that money, instead of just letting it sit in cash, growth is going to help you. You're not dragging the full $100,000 up the hill all by yourself. You're letting time and compounding push with you. So, no, $100,000 by 30 is not only for rich people. It's for people who stop using average income as an excuse for above average spending. Which brings us to the next big mindset shift. Think of your money like a leaking bucket with a countdown timer. Every month your paycheck lands, that's water flowing in, then the leaks start, rent, car payment, groceries, eating out, drinks, subscriptions. Just this once, online shopping, that random weekend away that was such a good deal until you checked your card statement. If you never actually look at those leaks, it feels like money just disappears. You tell yourself, my income just isn't enough to save. But it's not that simple. Your bucket isn't just small, it's full of holes. Let me paint you a picture. Two people, both 26 years old, both making $45,000 a year. Person A has a $450 car payment, eats out 5 or 6 times a week, has every streaming service known to humanity, buys clothes because they were on sale, and never really checks where the money goes. Person B drives a cheaper, boring car, cooks most of their meals, sticks to 1 or 2 subscriptions, and actually watches their spending. The difference between those two lives? Easily $600 to $1,000 a month. That's the impossible $1,000 you thought you could never save. Here's the kicker, on an average income, your lifestyle choices matter way more than you want them to. If your leaks are big, your bucket never fills. If you patch those leaks, $100,000 suddenly becomes possible. So, practical step number 1, Track every dollar for 30 days, all of it. Rent, coffee, snacks, Uber, everything. Not to judge yourself, but to see the leaks. Most people will not do this. They would rather feel broke than face the truth. If you do it, you're already different. The next major shift is creating what I like to call the wealth gap. Your wealth gap is the space between what you earn and what you spend. That gap is where your $100,000 lives. Most people let their lifestyle grow until it fills every corner of their income. New job, more money, nicer apartment, better car, more nights out. The gap stays tiny or non-existent, and they wonder why they never get ahead. To hit $100,000 by 30, you flip the script. Savings and investing don't get whatever is left. They get paid before anything else. Imagine you take home $3,000 a month. If you decide that 10% of that belongs to your future self, that's $300. You move that out of your main account as soon as you get paid. Now you have $2,700 left for life. The rent, the food, the fun. You're not saving if there's anything left. You're spending what's left after you've saved. At first, 10% might be your limit. Cool. As your income grows, you increase the percentage, maybe 12%, then 15%, then 20%. You still let your lifestyle improve, but at a slower pace than your savings. That's how you slowly move from saving $200 or $300 a month to $800 or $1,000 without feeling like you're living in a cave eating instant noodles. Think of it like running on a treadmill that's finally going somewhere. Before, you were sprinting in place. Now every step actually moves you forward. So if you're watching this thinking, okay, but where do I even start? Start with a percentage. 5%, 10%, whatever is slightly uncomfortable but realistic. Automate it. We'll talk about that in a second. But first, we need to talk about offense. Defense is cutting back. Offense is increasing your income. You need both. If your income stays flat forever, you can only cut so much before your life feels miserable. And miserable plans don't last. The good news? Even small boosts in income make a big difference if you don't let lifestyle creep eat them. Let's run a simple scenario. You start at 22 making $40,000. Maybe you can only save $200 a month. It's not sexy, but it's something. You work on your skills, you become more useful at your job, or you switch to a better paying role. By 25, maybe you're making $48,000 or $50,000. Most people would immediately upgrade their apartment, car, wardrobe, and nights out. You decide to upgrade your savings rate first. Now you're saving $500 or $600 a month. By your late 20s, maybe you've climbed to $55,000 or $60,000. You bump your savings again. Now you're at $800 to $1,000 a month. Over 8 years, that progression plus investing can absolutely push you to or past $100,000. Is every career path the same? Of course not. Some jobs have more room to grow than others, but almost every path has some room. Learning in-demand skills, asking for raises, switching companies when it makes sense, freelancing on the side, picking up a simple side hustle that doesn't burn you out. All of that is offense. The key is simple. Whenever income goes up, your lifestyle can rise a little, but your savings must rise more. That's how you use an average income to create above average results. Now let's talk about where this money actually sits, because saving $100,000 by 30 doesn't mean leaving it all in a checking account. If your plan is to stack cash in a zero interest account, you'll feel like you're pushing a heavy boulder uphill while inflation slowly drags it back down. You need your money to work with you, not just sit there. So here's the simple version. Here's the, after you build a small emergency fund, a few months of essential expenses in cash so that surprise bills don't instantly wreck you, you want a big chunk of your wealth gap going into investments. For most people, that means boring, diversified things like stock index funds through retirement accounts or basic brokerage accounts. Nothing fancy. Nothing you have to monitor every 10 minutes. Think about it like rolling a snowball down a hill. If you consistently invest a few $100s a month throughout your 20s, all those small chunks start to grow. Your money earns money, and that money earns money. You're no longer relying only on the amount you contribute. You've got compounding on your side. Now compare that to just letting cash pile up while prices quietly increase every year. One snowball grows, the other melts. So the simple plan looks like this. You get paid. A fixed percentage goes automatically into savings and investments. Part of that builds your emergency fund until it's solid. After that, more and more goes into long-term investments. No day trading, no chasing hot tips from social media, just a calm, consistent plan that lets time do the heavy lifting. And that brings us to the unsexy superpower, automation. Look, your brain is busy, work, notifications, friends, stress, life. If your entire $100,000 plan depends on you manually moving money every month for 8 straight years, there will be months when you just don't do it. So you design your system like a lazy person who still wants to build wealth. You set up automatic transfers on payday. Money leaves your main account and goes to savings and investments before you can talk yourself into spending it. If it's not in your checking account, you're way less likely to blow it. Simple human psychology. We're all very good at adapting our lifestyle to whatever money is in front of us. If 300 disappears into an account for your future self on payday, you adjust to living on 2,700. If 700 disappears, you adjust to 2,300. It's not always comfortable, but it's possible. Now, of course, life will still happen. Emergencies, surprise expenses, times when you have to slow down your plan for a bit. That doesn't mean the system is broken. It just means you're human. The difference is this: most people restart from scratch every time something goes wrong. You just get back to your automated plan as soon as you can. While we're here, we need to talk about social pressure and lifestyle creep, because this is where a lot of people silently destroy their shot at $100,000. If you're trying to build $100,000 on an average income, you cannot copy how everyone around you spends money. You will not get a different result living the same way. Normal in your 20s looks like this: new phone on a payment plan, nice car with a big monthly bill, rent at the top of what you can qualify for, eating out all the time, last-minute trips, subscriptions you barely use. People call it enjoying life. Banks call it thank you for the interest payments. You don't have to be extreme, but you do have to be intentional. Maybe you decide, I'll drive a cheaper car, live with roommates a few more years, and I'll happily spend on travel once a year. Or I'll live in a smaller place so I can invest more and not stress every time my boss emails me. From the outside, you won't look as flashy. On the inside, you're quietly building something most of your friends don't have: options. There's one more piece we can't skip: debt. If you're carrying high-interest credit card debt while trying to build $100,000, it's like running on a treadmill that's going backwards. You can be working hard and still not really move. So early on, a big win is to stop the bleeding. That might mean using a portion of your gap to aggressively pay down high-interest cards, holding off on some lifestyle upgrades until those balances are under control, keeping your investing simple and steady while you knock out the worst debts. It's not about beating yourself up for past decisions. We've all bought stupid stuff. It's about deciding that from now on, your money is going to work for you instead of against you. All right, let's zoom out. At the start of this video, $100,000 by 30 hours might have felt like this huge, mysterious number reserved for other people, the ones with better jobs, better luck, better backgrounds. Now, you've seen the real picture. You've seen that it's about creating and protecting a gap between your income and your lifestyle. You've seen that tracking your spending, even for a month, can show you exactly where that gap is hiding. You've seen that saying no to certain normal expenses in your 20s is really just saying yes to a much calmer, more flexible life later. You've seen how using raises and promotions to grow your savings instead of just your lifestyle can turn an average salary into serious progress. You've seen how simple investing and automation can turn your effort into a snowball instead of a struggle. Most importantly, you've seen that this isn't just about a number in your bank account. It's about not waking up at 3 a.m. panicking over money. It's about having the option to leave a toxic job. It's about being able to handle emergencies without your entire life falling apart. It's about taking care of your future self like they actually matter. You do not have to fix everything this week. You don't have to go from 0 to 1,000 a month overnight, but you do have to start. Maybe that start is tracking your spending. Maybe it's setting up your first automatic transfer. Maybe it's finally facing your debt and making a plan. Whatever your first step is, take it today, not someday. Your future self is going to live with the compound effect of your decisions. They're either going to thank you for living slightly below your means on an average income, or they're going to wish you had. You can't control everything about your life, but you can control whether you're the kind of person who quietly builds $100,000 by 30, or the kind of person who keeps saying, I'll get serious later, until later shows up and you're out of time. Start acting like someone who expects to see 6 figures next to their name, and then let time, discipline, and a lot of small, boring choices do what they always do. They add up.